What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be hunting a $100 box of nickels from one of our local Wells Fargos. I always open my boxes at the bank because I get a lot of 2023 Philadelphia full boxes of nickels, and I was surprised today to get a box that actually had circulated nickels. These were actually Brinks nickels instead of Loomis nickels as well, otherwise these would say Loomis on the side. So I'm excited to jump into them, so let's get started. Now, before we get into that first roll, I do want to mention this is part of our Hunt and Fill series, so we will be trying to fill holes in our Buffalo Nickel album, which is coming along quite nicely, but I don't find a lot of Buffalo Nickels, and when I do, typically they're from the 20s and 30s, and they don't ever seem to be one that I need to fill a hole, which is getting a little frustrating, but that's okay. We're going to keep on hunting. We're also trying to fill out this Jefferson Nickel album that covers 1938 to actually 2023. I bought the additional pages to fill this thing up. I have made a cheat sheet for all the things that we'll be looking for in this hunt that would be book fillers, and that's this 1938D. I'm not going to read them all out, but all the way up to the 1950D, which I believe is a key date or a semi-key date. And we need most of the proofs, and that's what we'll be focused on for book fillers. I do have a document in the description down below this video that has all of the various mint varieties and errors that we'll be looking for. We also spell out, I forget the name of the nickels, the Henning nickels. They were actually nickels that were faked back in the 40s and 50s, so I've got those years listed in there as well. So if you want to follow along with this hunt or use that checklist for any of your own hunts, feel free to get that document. It is free. It's just hosted out there on Google. Right now, I'm just flipping through here looking for anything we would consider a find, which would be 1938 to 1959. And I'm not seeing anything jump out at me. One of the main things we always have our eye out for is war nickels, and they run from 1942 to 1945. And most nickels will have their mint mark here next to the Monticello building or on the front. But war nickels have their mint mark right above the Monticello building. So that's the easy way to know you've got a war nickel, and those are 35% silver. So I'm going to go back through these with a little bit more discerning eye, see if we have anything that we need to look at for a mint error or variety, but there was nothing old in here of interest. So I will go off camera from here, continue through the box, and bring you guys in as soon as I find something interesting. So because this box is all wonky, I think I'm actually on roll number 5 because there were only 8 rolls up here on the top to begin with. We have our first find of the box. We've got a 1959. Let's see if we got a Philly or a Denver here. Looks like we've got a Denver, and according to my cheat sheet, we have no errors or varieties to look for. So just the 1959D. We're just getting into roll number 8, and as I was spreading them out, something jumped out at me. Now, if you didn't know this, war nickels tend to turn this kind of yellowish color, sometimes a little bit brown, but I could see the date poking through as well. We've got ourselves a 1943, and as I said at the beginning of the video, there's a Philadelphia right there above the Monticello building. And this one from a sort of, other than it's a little yellow, is actually in pretty good shape. Now, there is a variety on this one. It's a 1943/2, and what that means, this isn't one of them, unfortunately, but you can actually see the number 2 underneath this 3, and the 2 line kind of comes up this way a little bit and then breaks, but you can see that little double part of the 2 up there. So that's something you should be looking out for if you have a bunch of 1943 war nickels. I actually have one in my collection, but unfortunately, this isn't one of them. Very same roll, about halfway through, we've got ourselves a 1958 in pretty darn good shape here. Now, if it is the Denver, which it is, it could have a mint mark issue, like an over mint mark or a repunched mint mark. So let's check that out here together. I am not seeing it. I actually think this one might be a D over inverted D or something like that, but not seeing any issues here. Something else I wanted to show you while I had you is I have 3D printed these little nickel holders, so I actually have somewhere to put all of my, I basically start at 38, 39 and go all the way up to 59, and this is a nice little thing I can do for after my hunts, to just drop those nickels in there, which I think is pretty neat. So again, it's tough to say what roll we're on. Probably around roll 12 or 13. I'll get it figured out as we get closer to the end, but definitely well into our second rack here, and we've got our next find, and it is a 1955. If it's the Philly, it is a semi-key date. If it's the Denver, it's just a 1955 Denver, but it could have a D over S error, and it looks like we just have a Denver. So let's see. Let me back out a little bit. Just a regular plain old D. So we're up here on or around roll 20 with the rows being off. It's tough to say, but we've got our next find. It is a 1957. So we got a Philly or a Denver here. We've got ourselves a Denver, and there is no variety on this one, but we will add it to the board. So we're about 25 rolls in, give or take, and we've got our next find. We've come across our first 40s era nickel that isn't a war nickel. It is a 1946. Looks like we've got a Philadelphia, and this is one of the Henning nickel years. The Henning nickels were basically faked nickels that were made back in the, I want to say 40s and 50s, or maybe it was the early 50s. I can't remember exactly when they started, when the guy really started mass producing them, but the years you're looking for are 39, 44, 46, 47, and 53. The two ways to tell if you've got a Henning nickel is to look at it under a scope or a loop, and if you have a little loop here in the R, a little space there, a little circle in the base of the R, that is a telltale sign. The other way to confirm is to get your handy dandy scale out, make sure it is tared to 0, and put it on there. And a Henning nickel weighs 5.4 grams, so it will weigh more than your standard nickel at 5.0 grams. So same roll, just a couple of nickels later. When I came across this one in the reverse, I was pretty certain it would fall into our 38 to 59 category, but wanted to check the front, so I know what this is. It's obviously Denver minted, and we've got ourselves a 1940. So I've gotten far enough down in the box that I know we are on roll number 30, and we have our next find. It is a 1958. Let's see what we got here. It's a 58 Denver, and I think we already have one of those, so we're going to throw that up there. What else? Is there anything behind it? No, that's just a 70-something, so we're going to keep on hunting. Same roll, just a couple of nickels later, and we've got our next find, this time from the 40s. We've got a 1948. Looks like a Philly. And I don't believe there's any varieties on this one. So it just cracked into roll number 31, and as I was spreading them out, something jumped out at me here, and you'll see it right here. We've got another 1955, and again, the Philly is a semi-key date with just over 7.8 million minted. Let's check it out. It's another Denver. Oh well. On roll number 34, and we've got our next big find here. It's a 1940. Let's see if we've got a mint mark on this bad boy, and we don't. I think our last 40 was also a Philly. That was a Denver, so we got the pair for this hunt, which is nice. So we're up here on roll number 37, and we've got our next find. It is another 1946. Let's see here, we got a Philly. Now remember, this could be one of those Henning nickels. Let's check for that loop in the R on the back. Oh, there we go. I don't see it. Again, it would be right in there if it were one of the fakes, but I don't believe that this is it. We're on roll 41, and it almost snuck by me. I didn't see it by the edge, but you can see we're, I don't know, about 7 or 8, 9 nickels in, and we've got that giant mint mark above the Monticello building, and it is pretty worn thin, but we've got ourselves a 35% war nickel from San Francisco, and it looks like it is another 1943, so that's 2 1943 silver nickels on the hunt. Hopefully we'll find a little bit more in here. Let's see, I've got a couple of older looking nickels in here. Well, no, that's just a little worn. Let's see real quick. Anything else gray looking? About you, that's a 70. No, nothing else. But if I happen to miss something, I'll bring you back in. We're on roll number 45, and we've come across our next find, and this one did come up reverse facing, and I did already look at it, but I wanted to show it to you the way I originally found it, and had I been able to see a little closer, we would see we've got an S mint mark. We've got a 1940 San Francisco to go with our Philly and Denver, so we got all 3 of our mint marks in this one hunt. Unfortunately, if you look at our cheat sheet, I don't need any of them. We are on roll number 46, and we have found another 1946 nickel. And let's see if we still have another Philly. It is a Denver. And you know, I'll be honest, I don't know if the Henning nickel is Philly and Denver, but we're going to check this under the scope just in case. And I do not see what I'm looking for. Again, that little circle right there. Not there. So we're into roll number 48, and we've got our next find. It is a 1956. So we got that Philly or the Denver. We've got a Denver, and I can't remember, did we already have one of those? 48, 55. Nope, we don't. We've got a 57. Let's slot that guy right on in there. All right, 2 rolls left after we get through these 5 nickels. So we've reached the end of our nickel hunt, and I think this one turned out quite all right. We're actually going to start over here on the left. We ended up with 1940, the whole set. We had a Philly, a Denver, and a San Francisco, which I don't find a lot of San Francisco coins in my hunt, so that was pretty cool. Any nickel hunt that results in some 35% war nickels is pretty darn cool as well. We got this 1943S, as well as the 1943P. For those of you that are curious, I mean, it is 35% silver. These 2 nickels together were around $2.61 in silver. I'll put the coin apps value up on the screen. That's melt value. There's not a lot of premiums in these war nickels, although there is a little one if you try to buy from an online bullion dealer, but I typically try to buy these without any premium if I do buy them rather than find them. We did end up with some 1946s. I believe one of them was a Denver and the other ones were all Philly. All checked for Henning nickels, but unfortunately they were just regular nickels. We had a 1948, a couple of 1955 Denvers. A little disappointed that at least one of them wasn't that semi-key date, but still cool to find those 1955s and have a little bit of excitement there. We had a 1956, I believe that was a Denver. Those are usually Denvers when I find them. 1957, a couple of 1958s, and I didn't bring you in for all of them, but we did end up with 5 1959s. This one had a bunch of gunk off it that I peeled off there. Lastly, I did pull a couple of Bullion coins, and I did check against my album. These are all upgrades. There's a 1961. These are all Phillies, a 1965. Just gorgeous, gorgeous nickels. And we've got ourselves a 1979. So those are all going to be upgrades in my book. Unfortunately, none of these are upgrades. I checked them all already. I've had all these nickels. I filled up my album really, really quickly, and those last 8, 9, 10 that I showed you on that cheat sheet, those have just taken me forever to find. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. Anytime I find me a little bit of silver, I always enjoy those nickel hunts. Let me know if you did. Drop on down below. Click that like button and leave me a comment. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do click on that subscribe button and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. Special shout out to all my channel members. Really appreciate you guys helping out the channel month after month. If you're curious about what you get at all my different channel members, there is a join button down below. And with that, we're going to end it here. I've got a box of pennies I've been talking about the last couple of videos, and I did pick up a box of quarters that we're going to get into here pretty soon. So with that, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.